So for some reason, I was going to give, I forgot to tell you this one. I was going to give this guy, who's the guy I was thinking about, a phone. He's homeless with his wife. And he does have a drug problem. But for some reason, I had a spare phone. I said, here, I'll give you his phone. But I think he asked me for $25 or something. I can't remember exactly the situation, but I know I was going to give him the phone. So he comes to get the phone, but it wasn't ready. But somehow the popo knew he was going to get a phone from me and thought he got the phone. Now his wife swears there's no warrants. They arrest him for warrants, supposedly. Could have had warrants, I don't know. But his wife swore up and down, and that happens. His wife swears up and down there's no warrants. So when he got out, and I saw him, I said, look, I can't give you this phone. They may have picked you up because you had the phone because they wanted to get the phone. I don't want you to receive any trouble. So I think I eventually gave him money or something. Right. So it got screwed up because they thought he already picked up the phone. but he didn't. Actually, Larry. God bless you. No, we had to duke it out. Because there's also a charity mafia, and they get all the federal funds and all that, and state funds for it, and private sector funds for it. So again, between them and the narcos, dirty cops, trying to do charity was quite the task. Right, because they control who gets rehab. It's not real. So they keep a certain number of people addicted for the money. And then the charity mafia people, like I told you, they said the shelter was totally out of standard. This is like Minnesota. They know everybody's crooked, but everybody's got their slice of the crookedness. So the girl, I don't know if I said everything. The girl actually got fired. She was working. The woman was working. I guess she's a woman. I call a woman girl sometimes. The woman was working down at the shelter. She had previously been a homeless person, and she got a lot fixed up. She's working at the shelter, and she's like, "This is nasty. This isn't working." People complained to me about it too. The people that go, why aren't you in the shelter, and telling me what's wrong with the shelter. Well, she realized that it didn't meet the federal requirements for the funds because they weren't meeting the contract requirements, health, safety, all sorts of things. So she goes to her boss and says, look, she wasn't trying to be a jerk. She said, look, we're not meeting the federal requirements for this money. We got to fix this place up. She's motivated. And boss fires her within like 2 days for some bullshit. I forget what it was. So even that was like a crime because she's essentially a whistleblower, and they all of a sudden fire her for some bullshit that is bullshit. But they told her it wasn't none of her business. And then they fired her. So so I'm about to leave, and she helped me clean, and I give her money. When you're in that world, you find reason to give somebody money. Right? Work for me. I just saw it on was it TikTok or something. Not young lady. She was 29. The lady, the guy that gives money to homeless people and helps buy some food and all. And I used to do that too, but I was actually before anybody else, I think. Pretty weird for me because they're all doing what I used to do. Right. So she wanted to give him a massage. She said, "Look, I want to give you a massage. I don't want you to just give me money." And it was just like really just a few seconds. It was like a 30-second massage. Right. So it's like, give me a sidestep. So the idea is that's generally how it is. You find something for them to earn the money. Again, bad people would say sex, but keep it. Most good people keep it where it's supposed to. They're all good people, should I say? So before I moved, I had her come in and clean up my place while I was, getting ready to move out of there, and I paid her a certain amount of money, and then I paid another guy to help move me. So this woman, when we're talking when she's cleaning my apartment around a time period, she said, "Well, I'm thinking I'm gonna get a lawyer," and I said, "Look, your life has already changed." I wasn't saying don't do it. I was impressed, I said, but your life has already changed, just to let her know what was going on. So your life has already changed because you stood up for those people at the shelter. I'm not telling you not to do it, but if you go to that next level, there's no telling what they're going to do to you. I just want you to be aware and knowledgeable and not step into that and then find that you're back out on the street again or something like that. Right. No, Democrats aren't nice people. It's a scam. I mean, it's part of the corruption. You manage the charity, and then you rule people with that charity. Oh, no, we're not here to give you charity for charity's sake. We're here to give you charity if you're part of the machine that we want you to be part of. And again, if there's money on your head, then forget it. You can't be part of nothing. Right? So you better not need any charity. All it takes is for a narco to put money in your head, and a Democrat won't give you any type of programming. That's how it really works. Now, Republicans do the same shit. I understand that. But you all playing like you Mrs. Good instead of Mrs. Evil. All right. She could be sitting at home on her computer lobbying the world. Right. Because that does much more than what she's doing. And again, what's happening is the Democrats have some power to block the mind. And what DHS didn't do was articulate what targeted enforcement meant. Right. The everyday person doesn't know that you're picking up people that are criminals and things like that. That's what targeted enforcement means. They have people that have notices that they have to go. Okay, and that's the way the system works. Been like that through Obama, through Biden. Biden didn't do a great job of enforcement, but some of it was enforced. Right. And then people with warrants and stuff like that. Most people that in non, what do they call them, sanctuary cities, they'll pick them up at the jail. So when it's it still counts as like a detention or an arrest, but it's just that, like if you see cinder block walls, I mean, it could be the office or something. Usually, if you see cinder block walls on a photo, they picked them up at the jail or the prison. Right. But targeted enforcement is like in a sanctuary city where they release them and they don't release them to ICE. ICE has got to go back out and get them. So these are people, like targeted enforcement usually means, somebody's committed a crime or they have a thing of root. No, it's not like just going to the Home Depot. And it's a legal part of what immigration, used to be called immigration, does. The Border Patrol, when they're patrolling the border, are looking at people while they're walking around. They're looking for certain signs. Right. Actually, there's probably a higher concentration of unlawfully present immigrants, aliens, as they call them, in those communities than there is on the border. because nobody's policing it. See, on the border, they're policing it, so you find one here, 10 over there, and they're, just coming in. But, well, it's their mistake for not understanding the system. The system said, you get to stay here until we say you don't. No, there's people in their community that will not come across that border illegally because they have that part of them, that ethic. Yeah, I'm sure there's some of these people really don't have it that bad, okay? Like even the guy which we have to figure out why he got so sick so fast. It can happen to anybody, but see if there's like a crazy nurse, because they're like that. When I was in corrections, I used to sit on people in the hospitals, and you got to keep one eye on an inmate, one eye on the staff to figure out what the hell is going on. Right? They actually had one of the first out trans nurses was at University of Pennsylvania Hospital, I think. What was that? Yeah, I think it was. But it's funny because she walked around with a 5 o'clock shadow, It wasn't like where it was now. So you look like a dude with a, woman clothes. And some do, it's just whatever it is. Right. But for it to be so early in the whole process of people being accepted, so you'd be a correction officer going to get something snack, and there she is with a 5 o'clock shadow. Nothing against her. I didn't discriminate at all. Right. But it wasn't like, well, which one is it? They say I was around people like that. I just didn't know. Apparently, there were more trans people around me than I knew in my life. Right. Thanks. So the deep state was trying harder than I knew. All right. So again, I told her, I said, I've got to tell you that part where if you move forward with a lawyer, right, who knows what's going to happen. Now I told her, look, I did it in my life. I spoke out, but just want to let you know from my history what the possibilities are. Oh, it's sadness. It was tough duty. Santa Fe's tough duty if you're a good person. If you're living, where I was living, that kind of thing. So that military veteran lady, right? She probably OD'd and dead, I imagine, but I don't know. It was horrible. I couldn't even communicate with her at a certain point. She was just freaking out because her life had gone down. I gave her an option to come over and eat, and she never showed up. And then I saw her on and off, and just ignored it. But I was going to discuss things with her, see if I can get her somewhere. And her life went worse, drug use, and I'm sure that there was at that point she was knocking on heaven's door. Right. The veteran of Iraq, I think. On my Facebook somewhere. She was just some dude that he did use drugs throughout his life, an older guy. I try not to, judge any of their relationships or anything, but I forget how he has his income set up. An older guy. Even older than I was, even though I was older. But I figured she was a veteran. I'd see if I could help her. But I couldn't get anywhere. And then when I saw her the next time, she was so whacked out. Just even seeing me, and I guess to me, it felt like she felt guilty or something, felt dirty, quote unquote, right? Which tells me she's probably was prostituting at that point and stuff, instead of just hooking up with a guy and hanging out, right? I'm probably obviously still using. It was weird. Last time I saw her, I felt so sad about the whole thing. I didn't even know what to do. I tried to talk to her and I couldn't. It was that bad. Again, the other woman was like too. I think they set her up. The other woman, she'd come into my window at 2 in the morning, and maybe she was just leaving the bar. Maybe she was turning tricks. I don't know, right? And she showed up my room. I'm knocking on my apartment, knocking on the outside window at 2, and I said, "Look, come back at 2 in the afternoon. I can't let you in at 2 in the morning." Right. And she knocked a few times, but never would show up in the daytime. So I knew it was probably set up. And she'd have to come at 2 in the afternoon, but obviously before like 7 o'clock in the evening, maybe even 8. But well, stay